How's it going, everybody? It's Darkseid to Phil again. I want to talk to you about a little something I call the pressure of the vortex. Well, that makes it sound like I always called it that. I came up with that term just now. So, when I talk about the pressure of the vortex, obviously there's the pressure that we as detractors all put on Phil. We put that pressure on daily, and I think that's a good thing. But that is not the pressure that I'm talking about. I actually want to shift the focus a little bit from Phil, which I know is a cardinal sin. I know that's what we're all here for, but bear with me a little bit. You might find this interesting. I want to shift the focus from Phil to us detractors, to the detractors themselves. I still feel a little bit weird including myself in that group because, you know, a lot of these guys have been doing it for a while and they're super entertaining, and I feel like they've sort of earned a spot, you know, whether they would claim that or not. And so, you know, I don't want to shove myself in there too quick, but regardless, for shorthand, us detractors. So I want to talk about what it is and what it takes to stand out in the vortex, and sort of the pressure that people can put on themselves to do that, I guess. I should point out here that I don't think I fully stand out just yet. I'm still finding my niche, like we all do eventually, hopefully, but, you know, it's an ongoing process. The thought process for this video, it started this morning when I was listening to Raven's Dolphin, actually, and he mentioned that he plans to take a small step back from his daily streams. And disclaimer here, he's not leaving us. He just wants to take a couple of days to sort some things out at the beginning of the new year, and it sounded very much like he was trying to sort out what makes him unique and meaningful in this space. At least that's what I got from the conversation he was having with us. So, you know, when you think about what sort of exists here in the vortex, content-wise and reacting to Phil, and there's a lot of unique content, and the guys that kind of, in my mind, kind of sit towards the top that everybody loves, they're the guys that do unique things. They all kind of have their own niche, and again, I don't think this is a super hot take. I think everyone kind of knows this, whether they've really thought directly in these terms or not. But you've got Piece of Peace and his tracker and just his personality in general. You know, you've got King Jad and Bingo, which is just a fantastic idea in and of itself. Shinko and the Glaze State recaps. TBS and their professional style podcast. And the crazy thing about those guys is the four of them were all sort of filling their own niche prior to even starting TBS. So they're sort of a super group of sorts, which is really interesting, and I think it's why they do so well. But thinking of something you can do in the vortex that both utilizes your creative strengths and is entertaining enough to actually attract an audience and merit existing is pretty tough. You know, drawing is all I've ever really been good at, and so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make that entertaining to watch while also remembering that we're all here to dunk on Phil. And that set of guardrails doesn't exactly make the most straightforward and logical path to like a tightly packed, easily presentable conclusion. So when someone like Raven, who started his daily streams at a time when that was like far more needed than it is now, just because we're so saturated, when he claims that that's not quite here, he's not quite sure where he fits, you know, I believe him. I tend to believe him, and I can easily see feeling that way because I do already, and I just got here, you know, at least for the content piece of it. Anyway, do I think, you know, that Raven needs to change what he's doing? No, not at all. But if he feels that way, then, you know, I completely and totally support that, and I'll be here for him when he comes back. And again, it's going to be super short, super brief. I don't mean to step on his toes here. I just he inspired this whole conversation. So there's always a question of, you know, are there too many of us? You know, I mentioned saturation earlier, but I'd give that a pretty resounding no. I think there's always room for everybody, and I love seeing new people coming up all the time. It's a bummer when people drop out, but you understand why, and then you get people kind of weave back in every now and again, and that's fun too. It's all just different flavors in the ice cream shop of hating DSP, you know. I think, you know, one day you might want some Piece of Peace, another day you might want some King Jad. A lot of times nowadays, you're forced to make that decision. You have two separate live streams going. You've got to decide who you want to go hang out with and who you want to support. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. I don't see that as a negative. But I also think it merits saying this community is unbelievably kind and welcoming, given what it exists for, right? I mean, we're all just here to shit on this asshole, this legendary asshole. But when people start out, they make absolute trash, myself included. I think I'm still making trash. I'm just, again, trying to find my niche. But you're all just so fucking happy to have more shit to consume that you humor us while we improve, or until we decide that it's not for us to detract. And it's kind of amazing. I've said it before, it's a lot of positivity out of negativity, and it's part of why I really love this community. So in the end, I believe most, if not all, the tractors are here to have fun and provide some entertainment, to give back to the community that they previously only enjoyed voyeuristically. But with that comes some pressure to actually be entertaining, which can actually be really tough. I've got a crazy amount of respect for all the same people you do, because they show up to entertain every single time. And there's even a bit of extra dimension to that pressure to entertain when you realize that if you push content that isn't at least decent, you're just a fucking DSP. Literally every detractor who throws their hat into the ring risks becoming a DSP. And isn't that a risk worth rewarding? I mean, I don't know. I'd like to think it is, because I'm here trying to do it. But I'm happy to give a chance to anyone who hops on board and tries. So thanks for giving me your ear. I'll catch you guys next time. Oh, and fuck DSP.